All right, so what we're going to do now is go over how to apply for Medicaid. This form is called the DHS 1100B. This is the instructions for the application for Medicaid and, of course, requesting for long-term care services under the Medicaid program. This is Hawaii's application. Each state is going to have their different applications. It's going to look a little different, but primarily what they're asking for will always be the same. So let's go ahead to the general instructions. So this is how eligibility is usually determined. So you have to be 65 and older, blind, or disabled. You have to say who is requesting long-term care services. Of course, if you are in one of the facilities already, then typically you can apply or accelerate apply by having them apply for you. Of course, usually for those folks in the nursing home, again, there's going to be an authorized representative. Typically, it's like the social worker or someone who works in the hospital. If not, the applicant or the beneficiary of the Medicaid can apply themselves, or of course, indicate someone to represent them. So everyone has to complete the sections. That's for the individual. This includes all the demographic information like social security number. We'll go into the application later, but just know that you do have to provide quite a bit of not only identifiable information like your social security, date of birth, but also financial information like checking accounts, assets, retirement accounts, pension amounts, etc. So you have to list every type of income and always notate yes or no. Don't leave anything blank. For everything else, you have to provide requested information. Sometimes they will require, like for this example, if you have any unpaid medical bills, you need to notate the person with the bill, the name of the provider, and the service dates. And sometimes they'll ask you for the bill itself. For checking accounts, they typically will ask you for the current month statement. And of course, you do have to sign and give permission to the authorized person. You also have to give permission to the state which you're applying to of course check the bank account. Now, it really does depend on your case manager and etc. Your current circumstances, but be aware that the state can check your checking account at any time they want. So for example, if you're qualifying for Medicaid and you're trying to keep under that $2,000 limit, you will always need to be below that $2,000 limit, because at any moment they can check, and if you're over $2,000, they will relinquish or they'll cancel your Medicaid eligibility. Or they can, not saying that they will, they can. For my state, we have Colea, which is an online application service. But what I'm going to do is just go over the physical or the paper application. So as you can see, this is a fillable PDF. This PDF was created at the end of 2020. So it's the most current one as the recording of this video on June 21st, 2021. So this is where, like I said, you have to put all your information, all this. And if you have certification of being blind or disabled, if you have SSI or SSDI, please attach the forms. If not, don't have to. If you are receiving long-term care home, at home, nursing facility, family home name like a foster home, this is where you indicate if you are single, divorced, widower, or married. Then if you do have a spouse or any dependents, you have to put them on this. Again, Medicaid applications, or this particular Medicaid application, is a general one. So it could be for someone who is under the age of 65 and disabled, or simply under the age of 65 and makes under the income limit amount, or has a medically needy income limitation matching. So their medical bills exceed the threshold of income that the state of Hawaii deems necessary to pay your medical bills. You need all their information. Again, for yourself, you need to notate all of this if you do receive all your assets, And again, remember, this is everything, okay? So if you get a pension from, if you get cash anywhere in the bank account that's trackable, you have to put that. If you have a life insurance policy that has cash value, you have to put that. Any burial plan or plots, you have to put that as assets. Anything in the bank, anything in the stock market, also anything in an IRA, as shown here. If you have a deferred comp plan from like the city or the state, if you have any business equity or you have a family trust, you have boats or trailers or any jewelry, diamond or gold or silver that you can readily turn into cash, that counts. And of course, other assets. This pretty much depicts everything aside from really niche things like art. But if you do have those types of things, art, sculptures, you do have to place them here as other assets. Next is the insurance that you have. So for many people who are applying for just insurance, they would click no here because they have no insurance. They could be unemployed, or they could just be unable to afford the group insurance. Then they would put no here. But if you do have insurance, as many people applying for Medicaid do who are on Medicare, you'd simply put the insurance plan here. If you have unpaid medical bills in the past 3 months, this is where you would provide it. And if you own your property, then you of course have to put it here. Now, I get this question a lot, and I'll address it here because I'm pretty sure people will ask. Medicaid actually can take the property away, or at least they can put a lien against the property if there is an unpaid amount of care that was given to the person who received Medicaid and there's no one living in the home. Or even if there is someone living in the home, Medicaid can put a lien on the home. It's up to them. If there's someone living in there, they typically will not try and take the house because Medicaid does not want to become a homeowner and does not want to make anyone homeless. But they will have that lien. So if it's something that you are worried about, something that you need to think about, of course, is the fact that Medicaid could potentially put a lien against your home, and it is within their right, if you receive Medicaid services, to pay for long-term care, to pay for you to be in a nursing home or any kind of custodial care. So make sure that you are aware of that. Now, you can always talk to a attorney, which is what I do. I work with estate attorneys and Medicaid planning attorneys who specialize in this to do what they can to either help protect the property or to at least give you the rundown on what you will need to do or your heirs will need to do if they want to maintain the property, if you are, or if your parents or grandparents are, receive Medicaid and are put in that nursing home. This is for vacation properties or second properties, which are also considered assets. So you need to put them here. This is quite uncommon, but if you have a life estate interest in a property of another, so if you own partial shares in someone else's home, and you are going to receive it when they pass, or you're part of their living estate, then you'd put it here. You'd have to purchase some of this though. So this is the part where a lot of people fail to report, but you do need to report this. This is what we call the clawback or the look back period for Medicaid, and this is for 5 years. So in the past 60 months, did you or your spouse make any transfers to a trust or any other person? You would need to go ahead and report this. And this applies to what's called the penalty period, or the it's pretty much where you need to pay Medicaid back for giving money away that you weren't supposed to give away, and that goes here. If you own any annuities or anything like that, this has to be placed here. And of course, the annuities are for more things like income versus assets. So you'd have to put here which person owns it, when it was issued, and of course, the company that owns it. Typically, just like for a lot of the other assets here that are larger, Medicaid would want a statement. If you have any promissory notes, loans, or mortgages, they require those things as well. And of course, if there's an entrance fee that was paid to some kind of long-term care community or life care community, they also want to know those things. And that's pretty much it. You would submit your signed and filled form to one of the local offices listed here. And just as a side note, if you want to authorize somebody to be representative, typically the attorney could do this for you, or a family member. You can go ahead and notate that here. Now, one last thing I would like to mention just before we close is that this application was recently renewed. So the initial application of the 1100, the HS 1100 form was a lot longer. So if you have an old one or it's printed out for you and you got it, within the last year or so, please check to make sure that the form is the one that says revised 12/2020, because the older form, which is longer, also has different information as requested. So if you don't have the right form, they may not accept it, and they might have you fill out this form instead. All right, if you have questions about how to qualify for Medicaid, you can go check out the video on how to qualify for Medicaid in 2021. That one will show you what the asset limit, income limits, and also different circumstances if one married or one spouse is applying for Medicaid or the other spouse is applying for Medicaid. So go check out that video, and I'll see you in the next one.